The cargo bay was a tomb of chilled metal and silence. For 3 standard cycles, the human had not moved from his post before the great container. The other dock workers, a mix of species from across the concordance, gave him a wide berth. They understood tradition, even the painful ones. Especially the painful ones. His name was Eli. He was a broad man, his frame softened by years of low-gravity hauling, but his hands were still the thick, scarred tools of his trade. Those hands now rested, palms flat, on the frosted surface of the secure locker. Inside was a shipment of Terran cultural artifacts, destined for the Galactic Museum on Lyra Prime. The manifest was clear: 1 sealed biosphere, containing a single specimen of Canis lupus familiaris, a dog. It had been in stasis for its entire 17-month transit. The problem was the lock. Not a digital seal, but a physical, brass-bound relic of Terran bureaucracy. A final, sentimental tradition. The museum director was to open it upon arrival, a ceremonial moment. But the ship's environmental sensors had just pinged a catastrophic failure in the biosphere's climate buffer. The readings were clear. Without immediate stabilization, the life inside would expire within hours. Eli had called it in. The Concordance dispatcher, a polite being whose voice sounded like rustling leaves, had been clear. The manifest is contract. The tradition is specified. You are to safeguard the cargo, not interpret its needs. The museum director will be waiting at Lyra Prime. Do not break the seal. He had argued. He had pleaded. The response was final. The cultural integrity of the item is paramount. The tradition of unbroken custody is part of its value. Stand down. So Eli stood. And stood. He thought of the artifact not as an it, but as a he. A simple, breathing creature, unaware of traditions or museums, sleeping a death-like sleep while its tiny world grew cold. The dog was a piece of history, a snapshot of old Earth. But to Eli, it was also just a dog. A Garn watched from a nearby gantry. The Garn were a crustacean-like people, logical and firm. The rule is the rule, the Garn clacked, its voice devoid of malice. Its purpose is to be observed. Your emotional resonance is noted, but irrelevant. Eli did not turn. His breath fogged the cold air. He had seen pictures of dogs. His grandfather had told stories of a bounding, loyal creature named Jack, who would herd sheep and sleep by the fire. That was all gone now, lost to time and terraforming. This dog in the box was a ghost, a memory given flesh. And they were going to let the ghost die for the sake of a ceremony. Please, Eli whispered, not to the Garn, but to the empty air, to the distant, uncaring dispatcher. I am begging you. Release it. Silence answered. The only sound was the low hum of the ship's drive and the faint, desperate whine of the failing stabilizer, a sound only he seemed to hear. The human froze. Not in indecision, but in a moment of absolute, crystalline clarity. The tradition was a chain. The rule was a wall. They were built to preserve something beautiful, but in this rigid moment, they would only destroy it. To honor the past, one had to sometimes break from it. He broke tradition. His hands moved from the surface to his tool belt. He selected a manual pry bar, a simple length of hardened steel. It was not the right tool for a delicate seal, but it was the right tool for what needed doing. The Garn let out a sharp, disapproving hiss. Other workers stopped, their multifaceted eyes wide. With a grunt of effort, Eli wedged the tip into the seam of the brass lock. The metal protested with a shriek that echoed in the vast bay. He leaned his weight into it, the muscles in his back and shoulders corded with string. With a final resonant crack, the lock shattered. The ceremonial seal was broken. He ignored the pieces clattering to the deck. His hands, now gentle, worked the latches. The heavy door swung open, revealing the inner chamber. It was a small, transparent biosphere, and inside, curled on a bed of synthetic grass, was the dog. It was mid-sized, with fur the color of old rust and white patches. Its sides barely moved. Frost speckled its nose. Eli's movements became swift, precise. He bypassed the failed buffer, patching its functions directly into a secondary life support unit from the ship's medical bay, a unit designed for oxygenating wounded crew. He rerouted power feeds, ignoring a dozen safety protocols. He worked not as a dock worker following a manual, but as a man saving a life, his knowledge deep and instinctual. The Garn approached, its claws raised in a gesture of formal objection. You have violated the contract. You have defaced the artifact. This is a profound dishonor. Eli did not look up as he calibrated the heat lamps. The artifact was dying. Now it's not. Its value is diminished. The Garn insisted. Its story is now one of violation, not preservation. Then its story is wrong, Eli said, his voice low. A soft light began to glow within the biosphere. The frost on the glass receded. The dog's chest rose in a deeper, easier breath dot. By the time the ship docked at Lyra Prime, a stern delegation was waiting. The museum director, a tall being with gray, parchment-like skin, was flanked by Concordance officials. The director's face was a mask of cold disappointment. You have destroyed the integrity of the exhibit, the director said, its voice dry as dust. The unbroken journey from Earth soil was a central theme. You have made this ordinary. Eli stood before them, the repaired biosphere hovering on a cargo sled behind him. Inside, the dog was awake, sitting up, its head tilted at the strange beings before it. I preserved the subject, Eli said. You were told to preserve the tradition. A Concordance official snapped. Your species' sentimentality has overridden agreed-upon law. There will be sanctions. The director stepped forward, peering into the biosphere. Its critical eyes scanned the dog and the makeshift modifications. It was about to speak, to pronounce judgment, when the dog moved out. It stood, shook itself, and padded to the front of the sphere. It looked at the director, then at Eli. Its tail, a plume of rusty fur, gave a single tentative wag. Then another. It made a soft sound, not a whine, but a curious, friendly murmur. It placed a paw against the glass, directly towards Eli. The director froze. It leaned closer. The officials fell silent. This behavior, the director murmured. It is not in the historical files. The artifacts we have are taxidermy, images, sound recordings. This is interactive. It is acknowledging him. It's a dog, Eli said softly. That's what they do. But the records state they were loyal to their primary caregivers. This creature has been in stasis. It has no caregiver. Yet it seeks connection. The director's scholarly detachment was cracking, replaced by a dawning, profound awe. You broke the seal. You saved it. It knows. The director turned to the officials, its parchment skin flushed with a new hue. Do you not see? The tradition was a dead thing. It was a story about an end. This. It gestured to the dog, now watching them all with bright, living eyes. This is a story about a beginning. The human did not just preserve a specimen. He preserved the essence of the artifact, its capacity for life, for relationship. The broken lock is now part of the history. A better part. The officials were silent, their rigid philosophies struggling with the living evidence before them. The director looked at Eli, its expression completely transformed. What is your name? Eli. Eli, the director repeated. The exhibit. It will be changed. It will no longer be a canine of old Earth. It will be a legacy awakened, and the centerpiece will not be a sealed box. It will be a living creature, and the story will be of the human who who listened when a life whispered, and who was brave enough to break a tradition to honor a deeper truth. The dog gave a soft, happy bark, its tail wagging in a steady, rhythmic beat against the glass. It was the sound of life, insistently, joyfully continuing. Eli placed his hand on the glass opposite the dog's paw. He felt no triumph, only a deep, quiet rightness. The chain was broken. The wall was down. And on the other side, something good was breathing.